Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, all subscribers, viewers, and supporters of this channel. Appreciate it very much. I'm grateful to be here before you. Now, ISO 14001 version 2015 is an international standard for the establishment of an environmental management system worthy certification. Right. What is it? It is an environmental management system. Fine. What is it? It's an environmental management system that manages environmental aspects. How? By fulfilling compliance obligation and addressing risk and opportunities. Fine. But what is environmental aspects? Based on its own definitions, elements of organizational products, activities, and services, etc. Elements of that, for me, is anything, matter, substance, equipment, products, services, goods. Well, uh, almost anything is not a process name. Process name is a mechanism involving these environmental aspects. So, environmental aspect is anything that interacts or can interact with the environment. That's it. All right, before I go on, I would like to implore myself and all my other Muslims brothers and sisters, please do not watch this video if you are in a mosque, especially for the Friday prayers and attending religious lessons. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I love you for it and wish you Jannatun Naim. Okay, then how do we identify environmental aspects? In other words, since we are going to manage environmental aspects, how are we going to identify environmental aspects? The answer is here. A mechanism derived from mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, and most other engineering, which is a concept called input-output analysis derived from the engineering mass balances. I am going to show you an example of input-output analysis in this video based on one process only, which is boiler furnace. We'll come to that. Okay, and in this video, I will show you this process, input-output analysis. Where does it belong to in the entire chronology of the implementation of ISO 14001? Which step? And I will show you the input-output analysis itself so that you can understand. I am not an expert in boiler furnace, but I'm showing the principle, the philosophy of input-output analysis so that you can understand. The ultimate aim is to identify environmental impact. Fine. Okay. Now, and then I will show you the dashboard. How do we manage this data of input-output analysis in a form of tabulation that we are able to see clearly our position in environmental management? I call that dashboard. Okay, so let's take a look. Where does this process, input-output analysis, is situated? Here you go. These are all right now what you're seeing, context of organization, and all these are all administrative. Normally when I do this 14,001 job, I would get the managerial staff, administration staff to help out looking into documents for all this and to understand. Of course, we've got a brainstorming for this. Now, as I promised, do you see environmental aspects? It is right here. What does it mean? Why is it on top here? Look, we cannot have an environmental management system if we do not know what are our environmental aspects. We got to identify them. And how to identify, as I mentioned just now, which is the aim of this video, is to show you the input-output analysis. There you are. That is how early the identification process of environmental aspects is. If we want to go for environmental management system, any environmental management system, including especially ISO 14001 version 2015, which is an international standard, or you want to use the old British standard BS 7750, or the German very stringent detailed environmental management and audit scheme. Okay, those are German standard, and there are Japanese standards as well. First thing, they have to identify what are their environmental aspects. So we have got it here. Now, once that is, we have identified all the environmental aspects from all the processes, from all the departments, and representing the entire organization within the scope of certification. Then what we do, we evaluate. Why? To determine which of these environmental aspects are most significant. In other words, which environmental aspects would cause most significant environmental impact. That is why we got to the evaluation. That evaluation is evaluating the severity, magnitude of, and other criteria of the impact associated to these aspects. So those environmental aspects that can cause more significant environmental impact will be known, will be seen probably in a numeric manner. Okay, I'll show you later. Now, on top of that, environmental management system says we have to, apart from obligation, compliance obligation, we have got to identify what are, and address, not just identify, address what are our associated risks and opportunities for each environmental aspect and their respective processes. That has got to be identified, and then we have to sum them up, tabulate them. Normally that's what I do in what we call the environmental aspects impact register. Then you have got the dashboard. That is the dashboard. Only then, after knowing our position in environmental management, after knowing how severe is a probable environmental impact coming from our respective environmental aspect, knowing that, then this company know exactly what are the environmental concerns for the organization. From there, they will develop what is called policy. So policy is related to the organization's environmental position in terms of significant environmental aspect. And what do we want to do? What do we want to achieve? Objective. Top management, steering committee, EMR, you got to brainstorm, okay? And how to reach those objectives? What are the specific targets? And then this environmental management program will tell us who, do what, when, how, and how much does it cost in terms of resources. Is there any monetary budget involved, or it could be a man-hour needed, or outsource personnel, or perhaps investment in some equipment or tools, etc. It's all there in the environmental management program, laid out. Another table, okay, attachment. And all this will constitute what is called intended outcome. Remember, in our environmental management program is how, what to do, who do it, and how to do it, and all the resources. But it does not reflect environmental performance. Environmental performance, we would included in the dashboard itself. Because why? Environmental performance is important. This standard wants to ensure that our organization do have enhancement of environmental performance. We have to perform, and it has to be seen and reported as well. And these intended outcomes has got to fulfill compliance obligation. It has got to be seen fulfilling all the obligations with perhaps governments, agencies, authorities, municipals, etc. Vendors, suppliers, subcontractors, landowners, rental, etc. Political parties, perhaps, everything. And also achievement of environmental objective. This has got to be one of or part of our intended outcome. So that is the position of the input-output analysis in the chronology of the implementation of ISO 14001, and I've shown you a bit something additional, the philosophy of this latest standard intended outcome is there. All right. Hope that is comprehensible. Now let's take a look at input-output analysis. I have here an old photo of a boiler furnace, and this is, I believe, is coming from one of the agro-based industries having furnaces, and they have got to generate heat to boil for the boiler, and this heat is causing boiler to generate steam. So having the understanding of what is environmental aspect, anything that interact with the environment. So we proceed with what we call input-output analysis. Here we are. Let's take, this is the format when we do the first step in the establishment of ISO 14001, which in those days we call it initial environmental review. This is how it's studied in 1996. The British Standard 77 BS 7750, then Environmental Management and Audit Scheme in Germany, and it's all about the same thing, identifying environmental aspect. Now, how do we do it? Knowing what are environmental aspects, then we can proceed with this by having an input-output analysis. As you can see over here is the input, okay? This is the input and this is the output. Meaning what's input is input those environmental aspects that gets into the process. Output are those environmental aspects leaving the process. Example, fruit bunch fiber is coming into this furnace as input, and it is actually a solid fuel, so it comes in as input. Now at this point we have to identify what is its respective environmental aspect. What sort of effects does fruit bunch as an environmental aspect be an impact to the environment? So let's take a look. Now this fruit bunch, they are input, okay, and based on this guidance by ISO 14001 A612, see that we got to use life cycle perspective. We're not going to do life cycle assessment, okay? We are looking at this fruit bunch fiber from its life cycle perspective. How? Since it is an input, its life cycle has to be seen towards its upstream. In other words, where does it come from? And what are the interactions that it has with the environment? And what sort of environmental effect or impact due to that interactions? Now let's take a look. Empty fruit bunch fiber, they are coming from, say, fruits. In this case, perhaps palm oil, fruits. And it is coming from, and those fibers are from the fruits which is being peeled off, okay? And these fruits comes from the crops, from the palm oil tree. Got it? How does it interact with the environment? There's a lot of things in between, but we try to go further as possible, right to the end. Those that we can control or influence that stage. Okay, those stages that we can control or influence. So we can influence the crop. This factory can influence the crop by giving advices, by giving instructions. No, so in this case, it comes from the crops. And the palm oil is replantable. So the impact to the environment is that it is actually a renewable resource. That is the environmental impact. It doesn't cause, for this matter, it doesn't cause an impact as far as like fossil fuel resource depletion. In this case, it's renewable resource. But there are other problems. I don't state it here. The plantation, due to probably excessive use of fertilizer, can cause a state of what? Loss of fertility of the soil, because it's all homogeneous crop. So they have to use fertilizer. So in order to substantiate with the loss of nutrients from the soil, they've got to use fertilizer. And in some cases, excess fertilizer, which causes eutrophication. I didn't put it there. You can do it, okay? So that is one end. And so many others, maybe they use fertilizer by airborne, a plane flying and spray fertilizer. What does it cause? Air pollution, right? What else? They may use herbicides, they may use pesticides to spray around it. What does it cause? Air pollution or intoxication of other plant vegetations. That could be the environmental aspect if you're interested to go on that way. No problem. I am not the expert. I'm showing you the principle, the philosophy of how to identify environmental aspect. All right, let's take a look at the other end. So this fruit bunch fibers gets into the boiler, get burnt at certain temperature, causing the setting of certain pressure, boiling up the boiler, and the boiler will operate at certain pressure to generate steam, and the steam is used to turn turbine for this factory. So it's a self-regeneration premise. Okay, now what comes out from the furnace is probably fire. It's not probable, it is fire. You can see it, sorry. Okay, it's fire. Fire is an environmental aspect. It does interact with the environment. How? Fire is an output aspect. Got it? So what happens to fire? We got to look at the downstream of its life cycle perspective. How does it interact with the environment? Fire. I seldom address this, but in many occasions I try to discuss with people, and some of them are what they call boilermen, chargemen, and they know about this, but can't answer my question. So I'm giving you the answer now. Fire. The first stage is not convection. Okay, fire. Look at it. It's a radiant energy. Okay, it's a radiation of heat. So if it is entering the environment, it would cause some form of thermal radiation as an environmental impact. Please consult your consultants who has got or chemists who has got a good grip of the combustion chemistry. Okay, and mechanical engineers, you know this, thermodynamics. I believe you should answer this very well. So this is one example that I could show you to ensure to keep this video short. You can look at the rest, dust particulates causing what, you know, and all this. Take a look. You can pause this video and take a look. Heat cause a radiant heat to the environment, to the surrounding. Furnace ash, what does it do? It becomes soil pollution in most states, but if you ask me, it's not waste at all. Okay, and these are all outputs. Defected boiler tubes, they are being sent for metal recycling, which is contributing to resource conservation. Okay, and the rest. So this is the input output analysis. This is how we determine or identify our environmental aspects, because ISO 14001, we have got to manage these environmental aspects by fulfilling compliance obligation, and addressing risk and opportunity. Let's take a look at the dashboard, and you would be able to see clearer. This is the dashboard. I have here a table comprising of items that I want to know with regards to the position of my company as far as environmental management is concerned. So I have over here, first column, it could be activity name or process name. In this case, boiler furnace. Actually, it's supposed to be steam generation. That's a process, but steam generation will involve the entire furnace, boiler, furnace and boiler, which is good, but I just want to keep it short. And we have got over here environmental aspect, okay, listed down. In reality, this is going to be an array of environmental aspects for your aspect impact register or dashboard, you want to call it. But I keep it short just for this video. And we have got environmental impact over here. What are their respective environmental impact that we have identified when we do input-output analysis? And here is where we evaluate the level, the degree, or the magnitude, or the significance of their respective environmental impact. So this is resource, renewable resource. The impact score, if it is green, normally is minus, negative, okay, but that is in another attachment. I'm not showing it here, we got no time for this. Now we have got risk associated to this aspect, and we've got opportunity associated to this aspect, what we can do, all right, and well, a lot of things. Fruit bunch fibers, sometimes it's moist. The risk is where there's rain, because it's all in the yard, and when it is raining and when these fibers are wet, it will cause some form of combustion effects, okay, and also releasing some unburnt carbon, so which is not good. So what we do is, opportunity that we have is pre-dry. Ask the operator, the engineers in the operation, the technicians, the supervisors, the foremen over there. They are experts. If you are listening to this video, please comment and put your answers in the comment column below. Perhaps you could ask a question. We can have an interaction. Not necessarily I will be able to answer you. Perhaps other experts around can help. Okay, that's the purpose of this video. And on top of that, I have for you environmental performance. Remember the ISO 14001 introduced intended outcome clause that signifies environmental performance has got to be displayed. There you are. We have here management performance index, operational performance index, environmental condition index, done as your dashboard. And then of course, from risk and opportunity, we would be able to develop our objectives and our environmental management program in a more targeted manner, specific and with a clear, vivid direction, what our intended outcome is. This is the beauty of the latest ISO 14001 version 2015 for us. Wonderful work, Geneva. TC207, you have done a great job. Love you for that. That's about it, I believe, for this video. As a Malaysian, I wish everybody semoga dikurniakan kesenangan, keselamatan, kesejahteraan, kebahagiaan, dan kejayaan kehidupan di dunia dan di akhirat. And as a Muslim, I wish everybody, whoever you are, wherever you are, until we meet in the next video. For now, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.